AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's Rubrik.com.
It's back to Soldier Field we go for an autumn unlike any other. This time, Ireland are the ones under pressure to win, but they're also under pressure to rotate. Let's start the show. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Interpro Show, your home for all things Irish rugby from across the professional, amateur, men's and women's game in Ireland. I'm getting better at that, so I am. Adam and Ben are with me tonight for a special bonus episode as we look ahead to Ireland's crunch clash in Chicago against the All Blacks and, of course, the autumn block as a whole. Ben, I'll start with yourself. Words like apathy, do not care have been said. Not by this bunch, of course. We are 100% hashtag team of us behind this team. But I think, to start things off, all internationals are always a fun one. Yes, the fixtures are a bit repetitive, but there's always something to watch out for.
Yeah, and look, we've said it on previous weeks that there's only so much about November you can look forward to. It happens every single year, and it's really the same matchups every 2 to 3 years, including World Cups, including whatever tournament they make up. Is it Quilter something this weekend?
It's Quilter this time, yeah. It's another Finance Bros company.
It's another Finance Bros competition, exactly. But look, I mean, it's hard to not be excited, even as someone who is openly, oh yay, team of us, isn't it wonderful? It's hard to not be excited about the All Blacks, South Africa, Australia, all coming to town. I know All Blacks technically aren't in Ireland, but you know what I mean. And then Japan in the middle. Hopefully we can see some really nice guys coming in, get experience, get depth. Because please, Andy Farrell, can we have depth?
And well, let's start it here. Let's cap Tom Farrell in that game. Let's start that first and foremost.
Exactly. Like, look, it's an exciting couple of weeks. I'm sure by the end of the second game, I will be all in green and all for it. Right now, it's nice to have rugby, if nothing else.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Adam, I suppose I know none of us three are going to any of the fixtures, yourself included. But what stands out for you? I know you're having a quick read of the overall fixtures, but what stands out for you? Is this the one? Is it South Africa in a few weeks? Is it a French game? Or maybe, because I know you're like this, maybe Italy against Chile is your one to watch.
I was going to say Italy v Chile is quite a nice one to sort of sink your teeth into. I really enjoyed the World Cup a couple of 2 years ago now, which is mad to think about. When you had like Fiji v Portugal and stuff like that, you were like, oh,
that was one of the games of the tournament as well.
It was incredible. Like I always sort of think back to those games, and you're like, those are the games I really enjoy because it feels like it's low stakes watching it because I don't have any involvement in any of the teams. However, it's the best games to watch when you have no involvement with any team. Those are the games, and I think that's where November actually gets quite nice because I don't get annoyed by Ireland if I don't when I watch another team. I don't get annoyed or I don't feel like a sense of like happiness or dread when I watch a team get beat by another team that I don't have any connection to. It's the beauty of the November internationals or the whatever they called now. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I do think the Ireland versus All Blacks game is going to be the game that we need to watch. I think the South Africa one at home is going to be very interesting based on how South Africa do on the lead up to it. But as Ben said, if it was a win on the weekend, you'll see me wearing all green and going, "Oh God, we're class, aren't we?" And then Jacob Stockdale will get picked a couple of times, and they'll be like, "Yeah, grand again."
Well, I mean,
right with the world.
Look back in 2018, and especially for the people on this particular podcast, like I'm sure Ben was building his Peter Mahoney statue, and Adam, the young Adam at the time, was thinking Jacob Stockdale is going to win 150 caps and score 150 tries. He's currently on 39 caps, which I think is an absolute scandal.
All Stockdale has?
I think so, yeah, which is absolutely ridiculous. We'll get into that another day because we have a lot to discuss. We've got a same but different Ireland team, a same but different New Zealand team, and we're going to start with the Ireland 23 and get used to it. I go 15-9, 1-8 people. Get over it. It's
the
fine.
Only way.
Some say the only way. Some go elsewhere. That South Africa graphic during the week was absolutely horrible. They went 15-8, 1-7. It was ridiculous.
Oh,
But yeah, they went
oh,
15-8, 1-7.
oh.
I'll see if I can pull that up in a minute. But the Ireland 23 starts with Jamie Osborne at fullback, with Tommy O'Brien and James Lowe on the wings. The big call of Stuart McCluskey at centre alongside Gary Ringrose. You got Jack Crowley and Jameson Gibson Park at halfback then. The side is captained by Hooker and Lyon, Dan Sheehan with Andrew Porter and Tyke Furlong in the side. James Ryan and Ty Byrne are in the second row with Ryan Baird, Josh Van and Jack Conan. Ronan Kelleher, debutant Paddy McCarthy, Finlay Beelum, Ian Henderson, the returning Caelan Doris, Craig Casey, Sam Prendergast, and Bundy Aki make up the Ireland squad. And Adam, just firstly, your initial thoughts on this Ireland 23 as I go and find that Springboks graphic.
Do you know what? It's one of those that Andy Farrell has a set plan, and this is his set plan. I think there's a couple of surprises that you would sort of point out in the fact that Ringrose and McCluskey's a centre partnership that we haven't really seen. Tommy O'Brien, yes, he's had a very good season last season. Will he replicate it in a green shirt now? That's another big question hanging over the head of the back line. The forward pack sort of picks itself. I'd say Ryan Baird's quite an interesting one to pick at 6 with the wealth of sixes that we have in the country. You would expect it to be somebody different. I just feel like Ryan Baird seems like a bit of a like no harm to him, but we used to have Peter Manny in that sense, like, and we always used to think like, oh, that's all right, that's all good because he's in that, and it showed how well he did at 6. So the fact that that is grim.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, for anyone on audio, I've pulled up the South African and it literally goes 15-8, 7-1. It is ridiculous. David Dale Ende like kind of saves it, but you know.
I was going to say, what kind of you've much better pictures of David Dale Ende somewhere than him looking like he's trying to eat the jersey off of himself.
I'll pull up the Ireland graphic now momentarily, but as you were saying, Adam.
But yeah, I think it's sort of like a typical Andy Farrell team. That 9-10 combo of Gibson, Parker, and Crawley is a nice one to see as well, because we are looking for combos that are out of the provinces. That's something that I really like about sort of international rugby, and I said about the Lions during the Lions, is that I really like seeing different combos work for different teams. However, the bench as well is pretty strong. It's a pretty strong bench. You've got Doris coming back. You've got the likes of Prendergast and Casey and Aki also on the bench as well. We didn't do any sort of split. We went through the traditional route. That's going to be a very different look, I'd say, for the South Africa games in a couple of weeks. But yeah, it's sort of like a typical Andy Farrell has got his thumbprints all over this one. And we'll sort of know what game we're going to play from that as well.
Yeah, definitely. Ben, I suppose the standout calls we'll get into in a minute. But like, I know we don't have him listed, but like Paddy McCarthy on debut, big game for him. Craig Casey, you're hoping. I know all three of us are hoping we get a proper cameo from Craig Casey and from the bench at large. What was your kind of takeaway when you read this? Because I know going into it, the Jerry Thornley team had Doris and, well, we assume Doris and Aki in there. I'm pretty sure he did.
He did.
Went a little bit different. What was your initial thoughts?
No, and for once, it's actually, I'm excited about an Irish team. It's been a very long time since I've seen an Irish graphic pop up and said, you know what? There's actually an awful lot to like about that team. I'm delighted for Osborne O'Brien to get in.
Yeah.
Stu, we have said in this podcast, weekly has earned this spot. Finally getting him a chance in beside Ringrose. That's just a big carrying centre partnership. It's going to be excellent to see. Crowley totally deserves his goal. Gibson Park outside him. That pack, it kind of speaks for itself. Porter, Sheehan, Furlong. I mean, if Furlong is where he can be, excellent. We can't get any more out of that. Andrew Porter, I'm critical of him, fine, but he is one of the best props in the world. He plays if he's fit. Like, there's an awful lot like about the 15. The bench is really exciting. You know, Adam touched on it, but Paddy McCarthy fundamentally deserves that spot. He's earned it. He's got a big chance now to go and take that jersey. Henderson, I'm going to get to in a few minutes. We know, and I'd really like to see Casey and Sam get on for a good 25 minutes. Give them time together. Get that combination of, we know how each works with the other one. Let's see what they can do. And I think there's a Let's see he play together. Let's see if Casey can suit Sam that little bit more. Because, like, as much as we've all complained about the 10 debate, we all want to see Sam do well. We want actual competition at 10. And
Yeah.
Craig will hopefully, from Munster POV at least, be the starting nine by the time next World Cup comes around. Let's see how they get on.
Yeah, no, I would agree, to be fair, and I do think it's important to get those combinations in there. McCluskey and Ringers have played together before. Casey and Prendergast played on Prendergast's starting debut against Fiji last season. But you do want to see that little bit of balance, that little bit of chop and change. Like even next week, do you go with the two Munster lads and the two Leinster lads, depending on who starts? Do you know, that's one for me. Like I look at that Ireland A game when that comes, or Ireland XV, and I'm thinking, go with the Ulster halfbacks, for instance. Do you know? But in a game like this, where it is high stakes, like what are you going to learn new about
Mhm.
Craig Casey? Not a whole lot. We've learned it. Sam the same, Crowley the same, Gibson Park the same. So it's actually probably no harm. And Adam, actually, sorry, Ben, it's first to yourself this time. We want to talk about the big selections that stand out to us because we mightn't do previews for every game. This one is the rematch in Chicago. They're billing it as. And one man who's going to need to be in imperious form, it is a big autumn for him, is Ryan Baird. Can he nail down that starting six shirt? He's got Tom Ahern, he's got Cormac Izuchukwu on his back, he's got Keane Prendergast and Jack Conan on his back as well. It's a big call, but good work.
It's a huge call. It's a huge call, especially when you already have when you have Tyke Byrne in that team, who is for me the best six Ireland have. Showed it in the Lions, showed it again in Croke Park. Ryan Baird had an excellent start to the season. I know South African tour didn't go well for Leinster, but he was very good against both the Stormers and the Bulls. Played excellent in that game against the Sharks. He was at lock for two of them. Like, I know he fell out of the team in recent weeks. The expectation is he was going to be playing in Chicago, and that was why. But it's a big call. Like, I know I said offline, I would have probably gone put Henderson in at 5, Byrne in at 6, and then bring Baird in for the last 20 minutes and half an hour. But he's been given a chance to go in and prove with Peter gone that six jersey is now his, that we can have Ryan, Byrne, Baird, Van der Fleer, Doris. Like, if he doesn't perform on Saturday, as you said, you've Tom Ahern, you've Cian Prendergast, you arguably have Tyke Byrne come back saying, cool, I'm taking this. Ian, you're stepping up. This is my jersey.
Yeah.
Um, I'd love to see him do well. I think I love a good back row in Ireland, a big carrying back row, which Baird can do. His ruck for me needs a bit of work, but again, I don't know if he'll the place to get there, but he'll be helped out by Tyke Byrne alongside him.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that Jerry Thornley rightly flagged was we forget in 2016 New Zealand had a nightmare at set piece. Their liner was all over the shop. Ryan Baird can pilfer. He can disrupt. And starting him probably by having Ian Henderson on the bench, if Ireland's lineout isn't going well, they can call upon him. And he's well able to
Mhm.
take on that role. We've seen that before. So it should be interesting to see how that one goes. But Adam, the floor is yours now. The time is yours. Stuart McCluskey gets a big start at 12. First time in maybe 3 years since that New Zealand game at home soil where he started in that one. Your thoughts?
Dow's has never been someone so deserving of a position call up. When I saw that, I was just like, oh, thank goodness. Like Stuart McCluskey is one of those players that has worked so hard for Ulster. He's been an absolute definition of a workhorse. He's one of those players that always lifts his game. I think he's about 32 odd now. 31, 32. And he's always one of those players that you would think, oh, he's going to slow down. Sort of like a Bundyaki type. Sort of like, to be fair,
Yeah.
we spoke about how old the centers that we have brought are. Not like how old they are, but how old in rugby terms they are. But it's one of those that it's so refreshing to see Stuart McCloskey in that Ireland 12 jersey. I'm just going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy it so much.
Like,
See it. Pardon, sorry,
it,
Ben.
no, I was saying like it is an issue to be like Irish centers are 32,
Yeah,
33, all of them. But when you're
yeah,
able to bring a player like McCluskey at 33
yeah.
and just say, go on, go, you'll slot in there really nicely. And as you said, he has earned every single bit of this.
Do you know what it is? Is that I'd say that the home nations, in terms of the Six Nations, I'm talking about the what Wales, Scotland, England, Ireland. I'd say if he was playing for any other of those squads, I can say that about many of this Ireland squad, but he would be on 70 odd caps by now. Stuart McCluskey isn't necessarily one to get injuries as well. Like throughout his career, he's been consistently so good for Ulster. I don't remember a bad game that McCluskey has. So if we're handing him his roses now and he's getting this big start against the All Blacks in Chicago, albeit, and I reckon he's going to absolutely storm that back line, that All Blacks back line, which is going to be beautiful.
Yeah. And like to be fair to McCluskey, as you said, like I'm not trying to dig on anyone, but like if Stuart McCluskey is only 20 something caps, which is all he has, but like say Henry Slade has like 80 for England, is Stuart McCluskey a better player? Absolutely. Like
Yeah,
absolutely. I know Slade is a more rounded player, but like McCluskey's better. Like he's an unbelievable player. It's a pity he came through at this era. Like even
yeah.
like Darcy and O'Driscoll were great players, but there was kind of no one behind them for years. Like he could have picked up
Mhm.
50 caps in that era just as easily.
McCluskey has
Um,
21 caps for
yeah,
Ireland. That's
it's
eight.
That's
mad.
wild.
Like to think Craig Casey is like 20, 25, something like that. Ryan Baird is 29, and Stuart McCluskey's been playing
But
for Ireland for 10 years now.
it's one of those that you think of Ireland caps and you think of who's like because I think we mentioned how Stockdale's only on a handful of caps as well. But when you think
Yeah,
about
like 30 something, I think.
the talent that's came through and in the backs positions, we've been so incredibly lucky how many class backs have came through our system. The fact that we're talking about Stuart McCluskey only having a handful of caps and that being so unlucky, and I'm not going to get into selection chat. However, it's one of those that any other team, Scotland, he'd be on 100 caps. England, he'd be on 100 caps. Wales, he'd be on 100 caps. You know what I mean? Like,
Wales
there
would be
it'd
on
be like a
400
question.
caps.
Wales would be on 400 caps, and he'd already been tried out with the NFL twice. Um,
In
but
two different positions.
yeah, and
Actually,
he'd
Stuart
get booked
McCluskey would make a good tight
booked for
end,
mines as
in
well.
It
fairness.
would, yeah.
Yeah, he would. He's that build. But yeah, I'm so pleased for him, and I'm so pleased for this shout as well. And I'd love to see him play against the Box as well. I would love that so much. But yeah, it's one of those. I'm excited to see the center partnership go ahead.
Yeah, and it's something different, isn't it? Like we're crying out for something different in midfield. Like, don't get me wrong, if you said to me that Ireland went in and decided Henshaw McCluskey or Aki
Yeah.
McCluskey out of the squad didn't travel to Chicago, like famously Joe Schmidt didn't pick lads for Chicago who weren't match fit back in
Mhm.
2016. But if they did that and it was like Dan Kelly and Jude Postlewaite or something like that, or James Hume and Jude Postlewaite or James Hume and Hugh Gavin or whatever, I'm like, yeah, sound, no problem. Like they don't necessarily need to play, but yeah, sound, give them a call up. But McCluskey is that anomaly where like he's 32 years of age or he's 33 years of age, but he's only got 20 caps, and we're like, oh, he deserves more. Oh, he's got a bit more in the legs, like because he genuinely plays like it. And I think it
Yeah.
will be a benefit of him if himself, Hume, and Postlethwaite are all fit this season, which they weren't really in the last few years. He may not
Mhm.
have to do 80 minutes every week. And I
Yeah.
think that's going to be massive as well because, like, when Bundyaki rocks up for Connacht, he has to do 80 minutes. When Gary Ringrose rocks up for Leinster, he has to do 80 minutes. Do you
Yeah.
know? And this, every minute counts. And that's it. That's a massive part. Like, this Irish team is averaging 111 minutes this season. And that's bulked by the likes of, say, Tommy O'Brien, and Ian Henderson, and McCluskey, and those lads being back from round one. If you look at the other guys like Ringrose, Lowe, Gibson Park, Porter, Sheehan, Furlong, like it drops quite significantly, do you know, to closer to one game. So like your hoping training is absolutely massive there. But we'll move on to New Zealand. We'll look at matchups a little bit later on. New Zealand team was named today. We started number 15 as the man who has halted the last two games that Ireland and New Zealand have played. Last three, because he actually scored a belter for Troy in Wellington as well.
Yeah.
Number 15 is Will Jordan, the man, the myth, the legend. Leroy Carter, I find it so hard not to say Leroy Jenkins there, but Leroy Carter is on one wing with Caleb Clark on the other. Quinn Tupaea and Geordie Barrett. Is he familiar to anyone? I don't know.
I
It
don't
sounds
know.
sounds familiar, I
He's
suppose.
from Mead, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's the
that's it.
one.
He's the golfer
He
from Meath.
he fumbled the Champions Cup. That's what he did.
Oh, that wasn't his fault. That wasn't his fault. Jesus Christ. Moving on. I'm sorry I said it. I'm sorry I said it. He's in the centre. Bowden Barrett, his brother, and Cam Roygard are at halfback. It's a front row of Ethan de Groot, Cody Taylor, and Fletcher Newell. The captain is Scott Barrett in the second row, alongside Fabian Holland. Fabian Holland, what a year he's had, by the way. Just really quickly, he was captain and man the match when Munster played the All Blacks last year in Thomond Park.
Yeah.
This weekend last year. Now he's playing against Ireland in this fixture this year. Like fair play to him. And then Simon Parker, Ardi Sevilla, and Peter Lakai make up the back row. Samisoni, Takioho, Tamatai Williams, and Basilo Tulsi make up the biggest bench front row you may ever see. Josh Lord and Wallace Satiti are the replacement loose forwards, with Curtis Ratima, Lester Fainga'anuku, and the man, the myth, the legend, Damien McKenzie, rounding out the 23. Adam, I started with yourself for the Ireland one, so I'll start with Ben on this one. Lots of star power. Probably unlike New Zealand teams of old, there's probably a little bit of a drop from like their superstars down a little bit,
Yeah.
but still plenty to be scared by, as I'm sure, corresponding podcast New Zealand will be saying about Ireland.
I mean, it's a terrifying team. Like any team in the world goes up against that. From that back line alone, from Barrett, Clark, Barrett, Peo, Carter, Jordan, that's just tries, and more tries on top of it. The pack, what can you really say? Like De Groot, Taylor, Newell,
A very good set piece front row.
yeah. On Fabian Holland, a really quick one, because I remember from last year. He was actually born in Holland.
Yeah,
He is Dutch, and he came to New Zealand in his teens. He hadn't played rugby before he moved either, and I was actively starting for the All Blacks, which is insane.
it's almost the Ollie Yeager story in terms of how
Yeah,
quickly he's come up the ranks.
and you've got that back row of Parker, Sevilla, Lakai, and you're kind of Ireland have gone very well. I'm glad we're taken where we are. But you're looking at that and you're wondering, and we're going to get into matchups, but you're looking there, and I personally find difficult to see how we cope with their front row, let alone their back line. And then you've got a back row that, as we saw, unfortunately, the last World Cup, can just steal every single bit of space you give them. They'll compete for everything. It like we've picked the hardest game early. I'm kind of glad, much like to rise it, we went over Chicago early to at least acclimatize a little. And then you've got that bench with Mackenzie ready to come in. If someone on the back row has a bad game, cool, Gwyn, do you mark there's 5 tries in 20 minutes for you? Off you go.
And again,
Like,
Lester Fainga'anuku had an absolute stormer in that World Cup quarter final. And I don't like coming back to it the whole time because like his form has been hit and miss over the last 2 seasons. But he had a stormer in a World Cup quarter final. And with the exception of Bundy Aki, who's wearing 23 for Ireland, not a lot of lads can say that in the green.
it's
You
a
know?
reference points that we can have to be like, this is the last time Ireland did not perform as well as we expected against the New Zealand team. We have players in this squad who terrorized us in that game. And I'm a little bit concerned from, 23-1 that it could go a similar way.
Yeah, definitely. And Adam, like there is that fear factor, but also at the same time, like it is a New Zealand team in transition, to use that phrase. Like the likes of Leroy Carter, Quinn Tupea, Cam Roigard to a lesser degree, he was there for 2023 World Cup. Fabian Holland, Simon Parker, Peter Lakai, relatively new faces, but then at the same time, Wallace Atiti was a relatively new face when he came to Dublin last year in this fixture and up to the Northern Hemisphere for the autumn. And he had a stormer of a campaign. So maybe, the rumors of Super Rugby's demise have been greatly exaggerated in that regard if we think that these guys are, scrubs and plumbers and sparkies.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting one because I'm sure when we all grew up, the All Blacks were relatively untouchable. But in the last 10 odd years, well, since they won their last World Cup, we've seen that they're fairly beatable in that sense. And I think that sort of aspect of being scared about the All Blacks has sort of worn off. But what rugby fans need to know, and what we all know as rugby fans, is that you can't ever write off New Zealand. They proved it last year. They proved it the year before that. Um, it doesn't matter how new this team looks, because guaranteed within a couple of years' time, once they hit that World Cup, they're gonna be they're gonna be back to their full best. And this team that we see right now, and we were talking about the back line, the back line, that is one of the best back lines in World Rugby, just in general. We're going to see that back line move so fluidly. And the fact that they have Mackenzie to come off the bench as well, he caused us trouble last year as well. Do you know what I mean? He
Yeah.
caused us
He, ki-
massive
he
trouble.
kicked everything, even if he didn't have his greatest attack performance, he kicked everything,
Yeah.
which going into World Cup 2023, that was one of the things people were using of like, geez, Damien McKenzie, he's great when they're winning. Is he great? Like, he's shored up that side of his game. And you kind of hope from a Irish perspective, maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't happen. That Jack Crowley's like, look, how do you get at Mackenzie? Like this guy is, to Clayton McMillan, because like he's pretty decent. But
The
Adam,
thing is,
I'll let you
like,
finish off.
sorry, we're not even like talking about Peyton Barrett. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like Peyton Barrett's
I
also
mean,
there to just sort
what's
of
left to say? In
appear.
fairness, like
Like,
scored
you've
the
got
win and
Peyton
trying to work a
Barrett, you've
final
got
10 years ago. We've discussed him
yeah,
a lot.
yeah. You've got Peyton Barrett there. You've got Jordy Barrett, who's also had his he had his some type of thing in Leinster, but he was like in the media saying, "I've spoken a lot to Robertson about the Ireland setup because he knows most of them." But the thing is, as well, like the thing about Robertson as well is that he hasn't really had his solid wins. Like he can't manage, like we see in the rugby championship, he can't really manage to have like a solid run of wins. And
Mm.
they're seeing this Autumn International thing as a Grand Slam tour because apparently in
Well, to be fair,
a
they've
while
kind of
back.
always called it that to a
Oh, so
degree.
the Grand Slam tour.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, they're playing what, us, Scotland, England, and Wales.
yeah.
So they're looking to get 4 wins out of this, and New Zealand looking for a big win is a terrifying prospect. However, with the Ireland squad that we've picked, we could minimize points, we could minimize threats, but this is a very good New Zealand team. It's a very good Ireland team, but this is a very, very good New Zealand team. Do you know what I mean? It's like that sort of
Yeah, it's like
really, it's like a teetering, it's a
That's
teetering wave.
that's the thing, because like I know like a certain member who can't be with us today can often accuse me of being negative, and he has a point. Like I'm from rural Ireland. Like I'm from East Galway. Like we're all pretty negative around there most of the times. But at the same time, like I kind of think if Test rugby is decided by a series of one percenters. Do
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
whether that's your kicking game, your set piece, your tackle percentages, your breakdown efficiency. It's a series of one percenters. But I'll get into this in a minute. I think where there's the biggest disparity in the two teams is the benches. But I'm going to let Ben, you go first, the first of the matchups, because it kind of goes in order of the way we did the teams, anyways. And you think maybe similar to 2016 in this regard, this is going to be won on the touchlines. Famously that day, Simon Zebo and Andrew Trimble were impenetrable. Yes,
Oh,
Ireland conceded like 4 tries, but they were
but
unbelievable that
they were
day.
excellent under high ball. They were excellent with everything that came near them.
And that may be the key, you feel.
Yeah, we're going to need the same on Saturday. I'm really glad we've gone for Tommy O'Brien on Clark's wing. We know how good he is defensively. Feeling play both centre and on the wing for Leinster. He's excellent under high ball. He's speed for days, and most importantly, he's very, very good in 2v1 situations. He reads the ball incredibly well. He manages to ship someone inside better than most players we've seen, certainly in an Irish shirt. Um, and Clark is going to test him. Clark's going to bomb him. He's going to have kicks rain down him all day long from Bowden Barrett. I'd almost back him. I'd back him through a job on Clark 8 times out of 10. If he shows the form he's shown tail end of last season in that unfortunate Northampton defeat, and again the start of this season in a very tough tour in South Africa, O'Brien can be massive for us. And then on the far side, you've got James Lowe. Won't be worried about Leroy Carter at all, at all, at
Yeah.
all.
And
He'll
it's
use that.
funny. It's funny you say that because Carter and O'Brien and Clark and Lowe are probably the similar wingers
Yeah,
in terms of like 1v1. Like Carter and O'Brien, they work their holes off. They're great, they're very well-rounded
they
players.
don't have the same level of flash that you
No,
have
and
from
they're
your
probably not the
Carter and your
most
Lowe.
athletic beasts that the two left wingers are.
Yeah,
But at the same time, as you said, if this comes down to kicking game, like I'm not convinced that Tommy O'Brien's better in the air than like say other wingers in Ireland, but he's probably better than Clark. Clark's not
and no,
the
and
best.
crucially, that's what's important for Saturday in terms of where we have put him. He can handle Clark's game. I think he'll do a really good job at it. And then Lowe, I hope Lowe just peppers that left boot for 80 minutes.
Yeah,
Just put everything down on top of Carter. Don't give Jordan easy ball, make him work for it. But if we can get Lowe and O'Brien playing to their strengths, and we do like we did in 2016, where we just throw everything wide, pepper left, have O'Brien smash anyone who comes near him, we could have a really nice day.
yeah, and that's exactly what Andrew Trimble did
Yeah.
in 2016 in terms of
Yeah.
literally smashed anything that came near him. It
Yep.
was insane. I'm
Yeah.
just going to jump off here for 2 seconds, right? Because I'm going to put this opinion out into the ether. Ireland man of the match that day was Rob Kearney. I don't think he was the best of the back three because literally Andrew Trimble tackled everything and Simon
Yeah.
Zebo chased
Yeah.
everything. And Rob Kearney was still like 8 out of 10. But this was a game filled of 10 out of 10s. Like, and
Yeah.
I've said this as well. That Conor Murray performance, top three Irish performances of all time in Chicago that day.
Yeah.
And funnily
Yeah.
enough, Bundy Aki in the World Cup quarter final is probably top three Irish performances of all time as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, Trimble
It
that
just
day
shows.
was
Trimble was
immense. Like as
yeah.
good as Murray
Trimble was
was, and he was
phenomenal.
good. Trimble was insane.
If
Yeah,
not
he's
for Trimble,
phenomenal.
you're probably looking at all the Munster because like obviously there's a huge amount of emotion. It was a couple of weeks after Axel had passed. You probably have that element of like, oh, the Munster lads really carried them. Like it was Simon Evo's best game in an Ireland shirt, Conor Murray's best game in an Ireland shirt. CJ Stander announced himself to the world in that game. You would have had that element, and like Donnacha Ryan was still in his prime, but then Trimble was just phenomenal. Now, again, 2 years later, Jacob Stockdale on the other wing was absolutely incredible in this very fixture as well. So there's that side of it as well. But just moving on, Adam, every rugby game is decided by the pack, but at the same time, it doesn't matter. If your pack doesn't show up, your halfbacks can save you. If your pack does show up, your halfbacks can show what they can do. And you feel the battle of the nines and tens, Gibson Park and Crowley against Roygard and Barrett could be what swings this one.
Yeah, 100%. It depends on who shows up on the day in terms of Gibson Park. We know what game he can play. It's just how quick Roygaard can get to the ball. Roygaard plays a very nice fluid game, and that perfectly suits somebody like Barrett who's outside him. In terms of that, in terms of their backline, they've got quite a big sort of backline in terms of who they have outside them. So the likes of well, the same for Ireland as well. It's the exact same for Ireland. So that's where this game comes into play. I feel like Crawley needs to have a very good game off his boot. We need to be, as Ben said, we need to be testing the back three a lot. And I'd say they'd be saying the complete same thing about us and Tommy O'Brien, for example, and Jamie Osborne as well. They'd be saying to kick and to pump the ball back as much as they can into that back three. And it's just how Beauden Barrett and Jack Crawley will see the game outside in front of them. We're going to be playing a lot off Gibson Park as well, because the way that the Ireland team is set up, we know that how Gibson Park plays for Leinster is mainly off nine. So it's going to be interesting to see how much we're going to try and switch that over. I would also argue as well the fact that who's the All Black nine there? Have they went?
They've got
No,
Roygard at
on the
nine.
bench
The backup is Ratima. Cortez Ratima.
Richima. So when it comes to the bench, sorry, I know that we're going to go onto the bench as well, but Casey and Prendergast are the perfect sort of
Yeah.
combination to come in around about, I would say, 50th to 60th minute. That is the perfect combination to have because that changes the game again. That makes our game so much quicker as well. It would freshen up the game. I feel like in the battles of nines and tens, it's in Ireland's favour, primarily because of who we have on the bench as well. Because we can bring on Casey, because we can bring on Prendergast. If there is a that we don't want injuries, if there is an injury to one of those players, you'd go, oh, Casey could come on for Gibson Park. Oh, Prendergast could come on for Crawley. And in a retrospective game, it just makes it quicker.
Yeah.
Either way you can
And
put it, it just
Prendergast
makes it
can come on
quicker.
for most of the back time because Crowley can cover. That's the thing.
Yeah,
And we
exactly.
don't
Yeah.
want we don't want to be in a position where Crowley gets seen as like I'm trying to think of a good example, but Mackenzie to a little degree of like, oh, we'll stick him on the bench because he can cover and he can come on the last few minutes because he can
Well,
cover. Like
like Frawley
he's
almost.
still an unbelievable 10. So like you
Yeah.
do want and like I'm taking the benches, so I may as well jump in here. Personally, I do think New Zealand have a better bench. I think their front row is more powerful. I think Lord and Satiti may lord it over us. I apologize for saying that, but like Satiti was unbelievable in this game last year. He was unplayable. And what I worry about there is Wallace Satiti in this fixture as a young kid was probably better than anything we've ever seen from Ryan Baird at six for Ireland. Like that's what I mean in terms of lads needing to step up. And like you look, yeah, Caelan Darce is an unbelievable player. Caelan Darce hasn't played since May. You know, Ian Henderson has looked brilliant for Ulster. he hasn't looked at his best for Ireland since the World Cup. Finlay Bealham hasn't looked at his best for 12 months now. Sorry, not 12 months, post Six Nations, because Connacht fell into a lull. I don't think he's the best Lions tour, and it showed. McCarthy, how many minutes is he going to get? Kelleher, often you feel like you lose something, even though Kelleher's a good player, because Dan Sheehan's just that good. You feel like you lose
Yeah.
something. And as you said about the backs, like, I'm going to say it now. If Craig Casey's coming on with 7 minutes to go, like Conor Murray was averaging, what's the point? Like, what
Yeah.
is the point? You cannot be flogging a 33-year-old Jamison Gibson Park 80 minutes week in, week out when you've got a 26-year-old Craig Casey who has been one of the form nines in Europe for the last 12 months. Give him time. Yeah, like Prendergast for me, Prendergast and McCarthy for me should be the last two subs brought on. I think Aki should come in early and give him that full half an hour to just run over lads and to be impactful. Bring in Prendergast with 15 minutes to go, 20 minutes to go. He'll go to 10. Crowley maybe going out to the back line. I could definitely make a case for that. If Aki was 2 years younger, I'd make a case for finishing with Ringrose on the wing, Aki 13, Crowley at 12. A little bit less so now just because I have a little bit of concern about Aki's pace at this stage of his career, as is naturally. He is 35. Doris then, he needs to get a half an hour. He needs time to get up to speed to this game.
Yeah.
But that's the risk because he has not played in so long. Is he going to be an impactful player? If, say, for example, and we're not doing selection chat like this, if Timothy was on the bench, if Coombs was on the bench, you'd expect him to come straight in and to make an impact. But Caelan Doris is world class. He could make an impact better than any of those two lads can. It's just the fact that he hasn't played in 5 months.
Yeah.
And it's a big ask. You can talk about training all you like, and Andy Farrell loves talking about training and how intense they are and whatever. Training is not everything. There's a reason why teams can often look like they've been punched in the mouth in matches, and everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. But for me, and even if I go, 8v8, I'm going 6-2 in favor of New Zealand. Do you know what I mean? Like that's the thing. I'm going with Aki and I'm going with Casey. And even at that current form, it is a toss up. And like that's the concern. Like last year as well, and I tweeted about this. Andy Farrell tried to do the big man, the Razzie move, like let's bring on everyone, like four players at once. None of them got up to speed of the game and it cost Ireland because they lost all their momentum. Game was gone. Like this was like watching Jack Hardy come off at like last time and those lads. I think it was like 55 minutes.
Give or
The,
take,
the
yeah.
game was over with 10 minutes to go. By the time they got up to speed, it was over. But then at the same time, I'm like, if you're not giving Doris, Casey, Aki, Henderson to a lesser degree, but Henderson to a degree, if they're not getting a half an hour, are we missing out? Do you know? And I've always said I don't think Farrell is the best at using his subs, like say an Erasmus or a Galtier, but he's got to get it right this time. He has
Is there
to
an
get it right.
argument to do the same with Paddy McCarthy? Bring him in and give him half an hour. I
Yeah,
know it's a step up,
Yeah,
but
depending
for
on,
depth,
I think if it looks like Fletcher Newell is going to go 65 plus, then yes. Or if this is a game without a lot of scrums. But Paddy McCarthy, for as big and strong as he is and a former tighter that he is, he would be doing well to push Basilio Tossi out of the way. Because he's like, you're talking about
Yes.
two gigantic props. And McCarthy, for all of his scrummaging, peaks and troughs in Leinster shirts, it's generally been against lads who he can outmuscle. And Porter, even like Porter is a freak of nature. He typically struggles against lads he cannot outmuscle. Do you know? That is the question. And obviously the elbows and whatever. We'll jump into predictions, lads, because I think we could go over this and go over and go over it. And I do think we've had a good chat. And, as we said, it's going to be a game of percentages 1% here, 1% there. Adam, I'll start with yourself. We've kind of talked about if it's going to be won or lost, where we still think it's going to go, but who is going to reign supreme in Chicago, do you think?
I hope Ireland, and I reckon if Ireland do it, I reckon they do it by 3. I reckon it's not going to be a blowout game. I reckon we don't like as a fan. I don't want Chicago 1 to be. If New Zealand win, we're gonna get Chicago 3 next year. That's what I'm thinking. We're gonna get Soldier Field 3. It's gonna be that sort of feeling to it. I would rather Ireland win this now so that we don't get Soldier Field 3.
Potentially.
And
I don't want that for
do you know
social
what I mean?
for social political reasons, to be honest, but that's
Yeah,
entirely different.
exactly. Do you know what I mean? But it's one of those like I would rather like of course I want Ireland to win. I want Ireland to win. I think it's going to be by 3. I don't think it's going to be a whitewash as we had in Chicago 1. I feel like it's going to be quite tight, but it's going to be won by the likes of the set piece. And I feel like with having Henderson coming off the bench, if the line out is malfunctioning, that's pretty handy. I I do want to see McCarthy come on for a good while as well, just to get him settled into the international setup. But yeah, I'd say Ireland by 3.
You're going with an Ireland one. I don't blame you. It's not necessarily a bad shout, but we'll wait to see. Ben, which way are you gonna go?
So I came into this evening fully sure I was going to say New Zealand by 15 to 20 points. After going through teams, after going through all the matchups we have, I'm kind of starting to agree with Adam. I think Ireland could win this by a score. Um, I'm really excited to see how it plays out. It's a really tough one to call, but I think if we get our back line playing as well as they can, and we can sort out our set piece to match the All Blacks, and our counter jumping line out needs to be as good as it's been in years.
Mhm.
But if we can match them up front and if we can manage our set piece, yeah, I think Ireland by a score. Um, if we can get our bench rolling, if we can get McCarthy in with half an hour to go, get Kelleher, get
Yeah.
Henderson, get Casey, get Bundy to see out a game with 25, 30 to go,
Mhm.
Ireland win that game. If we have to chase it half an hour to go, I'll be telling you to change my prediction. Um,
Yeah.
but
They're
there's a
going live on
lot
Twitter tomorrow, this or on Saturday, so it'll be too late.
there's an awful lot to like about Ireland, and there's as good as New Zealand are, if we play our game, and I'm never going to say this again, but if we play the Farrell system to the height as it can go, we can win this game.
Yeah.
We can win it by a score.
Like we slag Ireland off a lot on this podcast in terms of just because it's quite funny sometimes to see the comments. However, when you see an Ireland team win against the All Blacks, it does feel different. It does have that little extra like fist bump that you do. You just be like, come on. Do you know what I mean? Like
Like I'll go
like
back to
even
slagging for Japan and Australia because they're easy games to
oh
slag, but I want to beat the
yeah,
All
and
Blacks and I
then
want to beat Springboks.
yeah, we want Ireland to do well, and we do see like it just is it's a question of, as we said before, Andy Farrell using the bench correctly.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
If you were to call it at the moment, I do see where both of you are coming from, to be honest. I can see Adam's perspective, I can see Ben's perspective. I have thought that New Zealand would win this game for quite some time. And I do believe I'm going to say something that might be a little bit like a really hot prediction. I think New Zealand and Australia will both lead with about a half an hour to go at the weekend.
Oh,
The question is how many of them win. And I
Oh,
do believe
like
New Zealand have the stronger bench, whereas Australia don't.
if New Zealand are ahead at
we
half
we
an hour to
can't
go, yeah.
chase. Yeah, we
That's
can't
the
chase
thing.
games.
Ireland are not a
We
team set up for
just
chasing.
yeah
Leinster are not a team
no.
set up for chasing. Munster, to a small degree, every once in a while can chase a game, but they're not really. Connacht and Ulster kind of can, but that's the thing. And I do think, right? And like again, I said it before, like the aftermath of the New Zealand game last year was ridiculous. Ireland played badly for so many reasons, and nobody pointed at all those reasons. They pointed at, oh, 10? Like the dog in Up
Yeah.
seeing a squirrel. Like that's what it was. Like it was ridiculous. Like it's fucking ridiculous. I don't want to see that this week. I don't want to see that about Sam or Jack. I don't want to see it about halfback. If Ireland lose this game, it's not going to be down to one player. It's
No.
going to be down to
No.
something, a fatal flaw. And Ireland
A
have fatal
broken
flaws. Ireland
system.
have fatal flaws, a broken
System
system.
failure.
In, I think they have defensive issues. I think they have frailties. I think they can be got at physically. I do think that in an ideal world, you'd have Henderson second row with Byrne at 6, but in an ideal world, they'd be 2 years younger. And
Yeah.
that's the thing I keep coming back to. 2 years ago, yes, I'd back Ireland 100% in this game. I backed Ireland at the World Cup quarter final. Now, it's an older Ireland against a fresher New Zealand. And typically, New Zealand players take less time to get up to test match than we do. and I just cannot shake the idea that New Zealand win this game. But, and I'm going to go early on this one, I think Ireland beat the Box. I do think Ireland beat the Box
Oh,
in 2 weeks' time. And
wow.
I've said that.
Oh.
That's been my prediction for quite a while. So there you go.
Wow,
I've
I
given
don't
the
even
comment
think
section a bone.
I didn't even think a bit of an animal have discussed that yet.
Well, there you go.
Aye.
There you go.
Should we have a cross podcast global gainline family thing?
That's
It's just
that
going,
could,
"Rah,"
the only
and then
problem
going,
is that podcast
"Rah."
has to be 4 hours.
Yeah.
Because,
Don't we
the
wait till the big
rivalries.
Christmas party? Sorry.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
That'll be an entirely different issue. But gentlemen, thank you very much. I would
Global
like to
Gainline's Patreon.
reliably inform you that David has gone with New Zealand by 5. He
What?
said Ireland to be heartbroken.
I was like,
But
wait, what? Wait,
I am
David!
going to throw it out there, right? I am going to throw it out there.
Haven't
I think if David listened to what your arguments were, he may have swung as well. So I may
Wait, are
give
me
him
and Adam the
time.
ones backing Ireland?
Yes,
What?
Oh, whoa.
we shall see.
Take that,
Gentlemen.
comments.
We shall see. I just didn't want David to be alone. I didn't know. I have said New Zealand for quite some time, and I'm going to stick with that one. But gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on this Thursday evening. If this video does well, we'll do a similar one for South Africa, and we'll preview it and we'll break it down. We'll do all that. But obviously, it's a little bit tricky to do 2 podcasts a week. We're still starting out. We're still finding our feet. We will leave it at that. We will be back next week. We'll try and go early, and we'll try and recap it as early as we can. But according to schedules, if schedules allow, this game in its entirety, and of course we'll preview the Japan game, and possibly, Ben, if we get a chance next week, we'll look back on Munster against Argentina, because we will both be there. As for those at home, if you like what you see here, please do like, subscribe, smash the subscribe button on YouTube. Give us your predictions. Tell us why one of the 3 of us, guaranteed at least one of the 3 of us, will be wrong. Either 2 or 1, but one of the 3 of us will be wrong. And let us know. If you cannot catch this game, if you can catch this game, 8:10 p.m. our time, Virgin Media 1 and TNT Sports 1. Irish Rugby Plus have it in certain territories. Look that up. The Irish Rugby website will help you with that. But from me, Kaelan, from all the lads, if you're heading to Chicago, do enjoy it. But until next time, Slán agus Beannacht.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
This is Hannah Berner from Giggly Squad. Opill is the first over-the-counter daily birth control pill available in the U.S. Let's be real, getting a birth control prescription is not always easy, and it's so much admin. In fact, about 1/3 of women face barriers to access prescription birth control. Between scheduling appointments, missing work, class, or just trying to exist, it's a lot. But now Opill is putting birth control in our control. Opill is a daily birth control that's FDA approved, full prescription strength, and estrogen free, and 98% effective when used as directed. Grab it online or at most major retailers, no prescription or doctor's appointment needed. So if you're thinking about birth control, check out Opill to see if it's right for you. Use code GIGGLY for 25% off your first month of Opill at OPILL.com. That's code GIGGLY at OPILL.com. Birth control in your control. We love to see it.